So today I'm sitting down with Carlos. He's a wholesale operator based out of Canada, doing his work mostly in Canada. He's been working in wholesale for a little while. He's got a unique style and his own way of doing things to make it work correctly. We were talking last week a little bit about surplus funds and what I do and comparing it to wholesaling, and we found that there was a lot of similarities. There are differences as well, but we're going to break down today a little bit about what he does and what we do and see where they align. So, Carlos, please introduce yourself. Give us a little idea and background about yourself and what you got going on.
Thank you for having me here today. My name is Carlos Jimenez. I'm based in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. When I mentioned to you last time, I guess it's a town in the state that was similar, the same name that you thought that I was here, but I decided to start what I'm doing right now because I was in finance before, insurance and investment. And through the time that I was doing finance, I make a lot of connection through realtors, mortgage brokers, and investors. That that made me the curiosity to look further into real estate. But what I found was something totally different that is not the regular way. It's called real estate wholesaling. And when I found that, because I was having my background in finance and I have a background as well in sale and retail management, where I have creating the communication with customer, my manager skills, how to build that report, made me realize something really important that I was happening in real estate that not many people know about it.
Who did you know somebody who was doing wholesaling beforehand, or did you see it? Did you see it on the internet? Or how did you actually get the first access to it?
I found my mentor, Mariano Antonio Marino, that when I connect with him, I felt the relationship, the connection, what he was doing, how we can help people, because a lot of people is like the same of what you do. Because a lot of people doesn't know even that they have the opportunity, that they have that option, that nobody even tell them.
Right.
And that's kind of how that relate in the real estate part of
So
business.
what does your operation look like today? Fast forward.
My operation is when I get a lead, when I connect with somebody, I try to understand the situation. Because for me, the most important before I talk about numbers is listen. How do you create that report with the customer, with the client, with the homeowner?
100%.
You, you got to understand what's going on that you can deep further into the situation.
What type of sellers or owners are you typically working with, or what position are they in?
Well, sometimes I deal with these stressed people, divorced people, and sometimes that happened to me once. That might gonna relate to you. Somebody reached out to me on a Thursday, telling me that the Monday of the next week they were taking the house away.
Oh
The
my
building.
gosh.
They were
Yeah.
doing the foreclosure.
Yep.
That was really difficult situation because wasn't enough time to find a buyer for the property.
Right.
That it's yeah. And I'm guessing that you see that a lot every day on your business.
That's very similar to the situations, not that exact one, but the distress situations. That's more typical to our clients. They already have been through the foreclosure process. These properties have sold at auction, and this money is left over to them as owed equities. But the counties and the states, they don't do much to do any outreach. They're only mandated to send mail to the last known addresses, which are typically the home that was foreclosed on. So there's a big gap between family finding out, owners finding out, that they're actually even owed this money, because a lot of people have never heard of excess proceeds or surplus funds. So it's similar right there, because your people are in distress situations, but they're still at, I feel like, that first stage before they're losing it. And then I think we're dealing with them, at a different distress level when they've already lost their equity and their property.
Yeah, too many people doesn't know that they have different options.
Right.
It's like when I was in finance before, people, the biggest understanding in Canada and the state is people believe the only that they have is the banks, and that's not true.
So what I don't know if you've operated much in the US. I know we were discussing something you were looking into, but is there a big difference between wholesaling in Canada and wholesaling in the US?
The wholesale in the US is bigger than Canada because a lot of communities, most of the people already know about the option. You have courses, advertising everywhere. In Canada, it's smaller. You gotta build a relationship with people. Even that you create your own advertising, you gotta explain people what they have and how does it work.
What's a good deal or client like look like for you? What's like your ideal, situation?
The worse the property, the better. Because when the property need more renovations, it's better for the investors. Because
Okay.
most of the investors looking for properties, either they gotta do a lot of renovation or they can tear it down and make something new.
So you must have relationships with a decent amount of investor pools so that you can move your properties that you get under contract for wholesaling. Was that is that
Yes, yes, and I creating my big network in Calgary because something I don't know as I told you, to me, to market myself, I love going to networking events.
Yeah.
That is the best way to market yourself, to tell people who you are, what do you do. And right now, I'm going to a lot of real estate events when I'm making connection either with builder, contractors, with flippers, with buyers looking for property, even with realtors that they know what I do and they love to work with me, even with mortgage broker lenders. And already some of my realtors, they already have the investors on the side. Even some of them, they are already investors.
Okay. So when you have a commercial property, you're thinking in your head, oh, I got this set of investors. If you have like a residential build, a fix and flip, single family, multifamily, you have different pools for depending on the project.
Yes, yes, because everybody, when I connect with everybody, one of my forms, they fill it up and make everything that I need to know.
How long does it
And the right,
typically take if you have a property you find from an owner, he wants you to wholesale it for him? Typically, how long does it take for you to find the matching investor for that property?
depending where it's located, the property usually might take 2 weeks, 15 days, might take a month.
That's not bad. That's pretty quick.
Yeah, depending of the situation, because something that most people, when you talk to a seller, they need to realize the situation and how they can be flexible.
Right. That's pretty quick though. 2 weeks to a month, you got money in your hands. That's pretty great.
Yeah,
On my side of things, it takes, it's more lengthy. We're dealing with the court process.
yeah, the legal stuff is something that made the difference between real estate because I deal with properties and contract when do you deal with the whole process and legal stuff and dealing with the banks as well.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. So people make it seem easy, especially online, right? I mean, when you see some of these YouTube videos or gurus, can you say how it really is and give us the real version for people?
Yeah, that happened a lot with real estate with real estate wholesaling because when you on social media, they believe it's easy, but they don't know the behind the scenes as a wholesaler. When you deal with deals that they fell apart or deals they are dead, doesn't fit your criteria, or when you deal even with sellers that they don't understand or they don't want to be flexible.
Where do you think beginners mess up most frequently?
Because at the beginning they want to look successful, and that's not the right way. This is work. You gotta learn the process from the beginning because a lot of new wholesalers they want to have the pipe full.
Right.
You get a lot of deals, but at the end won't work. You gotta master how the process works from the beginning, how to find the right deals, and you gotta focus on the numbers because a lot of people doesn't know. You gotta focus on the number, the repair costs, the comparables, the after renovation values.
So what
You
would you
gotta look
say? Would you say what process of the business is harder than people think?
understanding the numbers sometime because you gotta master that part and where is the location of the property because most of the people get deals everywhere. No, you need to find deals where the population is
Is it
10,000.
the old cliche location, location, location?
Yeah, that's correct. Totally agree with you. People doesn't realize. For example, somebody reached out to me the other day selling the property that somebody can build something new, but the town where the property was less than 300 people,
Wow.
and that doesn't work for anybody.
No. How important is trust in this business?
That is really important. That is when you connect with a seller, you build the report, listen the situation. Sometimes sellers, they might be sick, they might be dealing with divorce or other stuff, distress, that before you talk about numbers, you build the relationship that they can feel the trust on you. And after you feel that connection, you can talk about numbers and they will tell you, I want to work with you.
See, I think trust is so underestimated in a lot of businesses, not just real estate, but trust is huge, especially in our business. The more you talk, the more I just keep hearing so many similarities. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think is used more? Is it sales, marketing, and getting started in wholesaling and operating successfully in wholesaling?
In being successful in wholesaling, well, you got to start your marketing. That's a really important part. But as well, some of the deals that I've been finding is through the connection that I've been making through 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 different networking events or people getting to know who I am. Oh, I know Carlos. He's in the wholesale business. I love how he does marketing, how he works with other people. I would love to work with him. And sometimes I partner with another wholesaler in other provinces that they come to me. I have a property in Alberta that I want you to join me on this.
Are you getting a lot of referrals?
Yeah, yeah, I getting not a lot, but I getting certain amounts because people already know me and they know what I do and how do I work.
And are there any legal sides of this? Like when you're closing, do you have to have an attorney on every deal? Is it something you just do as an operator to owner to other investors, or how's the deal actually work, the signings and the execution?
Well, what's going on is that I make a cash offer to the seller and I explain to him how do I work. That I work with a group of investors and I make an offer to the seller. If the seller disagree with that offer, I get it under contract. And what I do, I sell that contract to the investor. But what the investor gonna get is the contract with my assignment fee. That's
Okay.
it how I make money.
So before I got two questions. Before you call the client or the lead, do you have a price you've already in your mind you're set on, or you got to talk to him first and see his situation?
I look at the property because when I connect with the lead, the client, I request for pictures, the situation of the property to have an idea. And the important question, what is the asking price? What they wanna get for the property? And when I connect with them and talk to them and find more about the property, what is the real situation, why they wanna sell the property, I tell them I will call you in 24 hours. Do my due diligence. Even sometimes I talk to my realtors that they can do comparable for me, and I come with a fair cash offer that I tell them how can we make this work for the investors.
So you get the lead. Do you have lead generation? Or are you pulling these leads from anywhere?
I get the list through Facebook, through Meta. I run my
Okay. And then you're just kind of cold calling to see if they're trying to sell their house, or do you?
they no, they connect with me. They fill it out a form that
Okay.
I have. They fill it out the form, and I connect with them. After they fill it out the
So
form, I
these are
give
all warm outreaches. You're when you're calling them, they've already let you know they're interested in selling their home to you.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
that's
that's
great.
correct.
All right, and then the assignment. So you're saying there's assignment fee. Is the same fee that you usually add as like a percentage, or how do you know what to put on top of that?
Around 10% of the transaction, most of the time.
Okay, so
Yeah,
if it's $100,000, you're a $10,000 assignment fee.
that's correct.
Wow, it's pretty great, and that's 2 weeks to 30 days.
Yeah, usually I get between 15 to 30 days, depending the period of time that the seller agree with me to lock the deal. And after we can get the closing date, maybe 30 between 30 to 90 days to give enough time.
Wow, wonderful. Are you focusing mainly on residential, commercial? What's industrial? Or do you it all? What's your focus?
Mainly residential and of family multifamilies.
I'm sure the multifamily properties are a little more higher ticket than the single family. Well, not in all cases, but maybe in most cases, right?
Yeah, 10 times bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes single homes, depending of the area, can be a little bit pricey that you can make big money as well from those properties.
If you don't mind, what's an average deal size that you're seeing in the past years based on your numbers?
Well, can be between 20 to 50,000 or more than that.
Deal size or
Deal
assignment fee?
size,
Okay, yeah.
assignment fee,
Okay, that's
assignment
great.
fee. Yeah.
Rock on, my man. The more I hear you talk about wholesale, I keep playing it. There's so many similarities. You know, in wholesaling, you're finding these opportunities before, like I said at the beginning. We're waiting at the end, but it seems like the type of client that we're finding is very similar. It seems like the way we're finding our clients is also pretty similar as well, where we're doing a lot of, you're doing marketing to find your people. We're doing different types of marketing, more of a cold outreach. Sometimes it's warm, but the return on investment seems to be pretty great on both sides. Um, surplus funds, we're dealing with people who lost equity. These people need help. There's not really anyone out there looking to help them out. There's no one in their corner. We provide the legal service. We get them money back that was held by the courts before the state tries to keep it. Um, it's a little bit different, but it's so similar in the way that the operations work. When I first told you, when we had our discussion last week, when I first told you about surplus funds, did anything hit for you like that? Like any similarities?
The amount of people, what stuck to me was the amount of people that doesn't know that this exists. and the economy that we're going right now, and after COVID, that everything changed, even with the mortgage rates that they went up.
Yeah.
And a lot of
And they're about to
people,
go back up because of inflation, but that's a discussion for another time. But the rates are supposedly going back up.
because the problem is, let's say people that they were paying mortgage at different rate 5 years ago, when they gotta renew the mortgage, they won't be able to pay anymore because they're gonna be too high. And at some point, you find it the people after the foreclosure.
Yeah.
But I find people before or in the process that when they connect with me, this is what's going to happen. And for me, I feel like I am the solution problem.
Yeah, you're kind of helping them out before it gets to a certain place. We're helping them with a completely different side of it. It's already gone, you know, it's already gone wrong for them once. We're trying to help them before it goes wrong for them a second time, right? Because the last thing we want to see is that the government keep these funds. And if unfortunately, if the family or the rightful owner doesn't claim them in the right amount of time, they're going to be gone. They're going to get a sheeted. It's called a sheetment. It's when the county or the state absorbs the funds for their own use. And once that happens, there's nothing anybody can do about it. It's gone forever.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely a couple differences. Did you see what was any similarities that you saw?
Lead generation.
Yeah.
How do we approach people? There were two of the major similarities that I see.
Yeah, definitely. You guys get paid a little sooner, but we can fill a pipeline up pretty quick. Yours is you said yours is between 30 to 90 days. Our average is between 60 to 120 days. Not too much longer. Some cases can go further than that if it's there's interpleters or issues with multiple claimants or heirs or something not very clean about the case. But for the most part, between 60 to 120 days. And our average deal size is usually around 70,000. And we average, a 30% take home for the company on most of our deals.
Yeah, because for me, as soon as I assign the contract to the end buyer, I get paid my assignment fee.
And so you said there's no attorney involved.
No, it's just the lawyers. The lawyer from the seller, where the seller gonna receive the money, and the lawyer of the buyer.
So the two end people, you're kind of like the in between, where you don't have to retain anybody.
Not at all.
That's pretty convenient. And so in surplus funds, I don't have to use an attorney per se. Some cases you do to petition motion to court, but we always it's a model we mandate, and that's how we operate. We use attorneys for absolutely every case because you're dealing with the court, you're dealing with very unique paperwork, people's families' money. You owe it to them to do this the right way with an expert. And not only that, it gives you an A plus level of compliance, as well as making the client feel warm and fuzzy inside because you have an officer of the court who's not going to be risking their bar license. And again, they don't know us too much. We're cold calling them. They don't know us from a hole in the wall. So, I mean, you have to understand there's going to be some skepticism on their side of it. And we want to make everybody just feel comfortable. And I brought up trust because trust is so big for us. No one's going to work with us if they don't trust us. And that's the number one thing we say that we sell, because we don't really sell anything but trust. We inform, we educate, we offer our service, and we're just looking to help these individuals get from A to Z. But without trust, there's nothing there. You're not going to get anything, and you're not going to be able to work with anybody.
Because what you are telling me basically is because a lot of people doesn't have the education. What I was telling you before, they don't know that this is exists. And when you call them, they might telling you, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think
That's
those skills transfer from wholesaling to surplus funds pretty well.
yeah, because what I was telling you before is like between Canada and the state. In Canada, it's really small, but in the state is bigger or selling. That when I talk to sometimes to people doesn't know even about this. Even realtors that I've been connecting with. They
What
don't
about
know
what
you.
about verifying things? So in surplus funds, we verify and do research before ever reaching out to anybody. We don't want to waste anybody's time, so we verify debt, ownership, any liens, anything that we can find out beforehand to make sure that it's actually worth going after. Are there certain steps you take before you reach out to an individual, let's say, who filled out your form, right? Before even reaching out to them?
Not really. As soon as they fill it out the form and I see kind of the situation, I will reach out to them and get in deep what's going on, what financial problem do they have,
Yeah.
to understand everything that they're going through to find the better solution. Because most of the time, they might tell you, I still own this amount of money to the banking mortgage. That is some of the cases that might not be
I
true.
can imagine people say, "Yeah, I only owe 100 grand," and they owe 300, right, to the bank or something like that. Or there's two mortgages.
Or they might say, I own 200,000, but they only own 100,000.
What do you think about competition? How's competition in wholesaling in general and in Canada?
Well, for me, at the beginning, I saw it as a competition, but sometimes it's about building the partnerships. For example, I have people in Ontario that they are not in Alberta and they are doing deals in Alberta. And because I'm in Alberta, how can we partner together? Because for me, at the end of the day, it's win-win situation. How can everybody wins? Instead,
100%.
yeah, I believe so. Is the best way in start to be. I'm
Is it?
gonna
Do you
be
feel
doing
like
better.
do you feel like it's crowded in your space at all though? Because I have heard some things where there's in the states at least, right? People say how the competition is really big in wholesaling, but there's still so many deals out there. I just didn't know if you had any perspective on like the actual size or your competition in your area.
Yeah, sometimes happen that you get the same lead, go to different wholesalers, and when you're talking to another wholesaler, he tell you, "Oh, I'm working in this deal. I already talked to that person. Don't waste your time."
Yeah, see, I'm asking because I deal with some similar things. So I'll get a client signed up or filed. We have with their attorney, but they're still getting phone calls from other firms, and it's funny because people will tell them, I don't know who you're working with, but your case isn't filed. Sign with me. I'll get it filed right now. And then they call you worried, like, hey, Matt, I just got a call from some other firm, and he's saying that that my money's still out there, and I'm at risk, and I have to explain to them, no, sorry, they're not doing the correct research. You are filed. You're with the attorney X, Y, and Z. It's already in the court. Blah blah blah. So it's just I was wondering if you ever dealt with someone with other companies, maybe
Well,
any funny stories like that.
that is one of the questions. You're correct. When I call a lead, one of the questions that I ask, are you working with another wholesaler? Because sometimes, and that happened to me, that a person was dealing with another wholesaler, that when the wholesaler was talking on one of my calls, I got this lead, the person is doing this and that. And I said to her, oh, I was dealing with the same person because he was looking to see who's gonna give him more money.
Yeah, playing both sides.
Yeah, even sometimes a guy was dealing with me and I got the property under contract, but another wholesaler was showing the same property and I got interrupt the call and said, sorry, but the property is already under contract and I'm talking tonight to the potential buyer.
Yeah. It's funny. Some of these you can't even. I don't even get surprised anymore at some of these things.
Yeah, I know. You never know. That's why it's important to ask before you start working with that person that you don't waste
Always
your time.
ask the questions, especially the hard questions. Everybody wants to close a deal, so you almost mentally you're like, oh shit, you almost want to stay away from certain questions you should ask. But I think that's where experience comes in, is when Don't cut through the bullshit. This is money, and I'm not going to be able to get this done if we don't do it the right way. So you got to be able to say the things that need to be said, know how to do it the right way, and be able to have people trust you because of the way you come off and sound and the way you're operating your business.
Yeah, I guessing that happened to you a lot. What you were saying.
Yeah, I get crazy stuff that happens all the time. I've signed some people up before and come to find out they were working with another firm, but you can't find that out until you file with the court, and then the court's going to come back and tell you, "Hey, they filed with this firm back in, March 3rd or whatever." So then it's like, come on, we do ask these questions as well, but sometimes not everybody, like as you know, tells you the whole truth.
Yeah, because they wanna see where they get the best deal. Who gonna offer more?
Yeah, maybe they think there's another check out there for them. So I can't tell you. Who knows? It's probably different with everybody. But it's like I said, it's tough for me to even get surprised anymore about some of these responses I hear, things that are said, and situations that we see unfold. But I digress. Now, jumping back in between surplus funds, wholesaling, fix and flipping, investing, whatever you have it, right? If you could talk to the audience now, what would be something that you're cautious about starting a new venture, whether it be surplus funds or wholesaling?
Well, something that I focus on before I start a business is not something that you're gonna see online and you see it online. Oh, I wanna do this. No, you gotta do your research. You gotta see the results. You gotta see the life examples. This is what's happened. This is what we did. This is how we help the person.
So what would you say they have to take seriously before starting?
For me, it's seeing real deals, real situation that happen in life.
Well, you know wholesaling so well. Let's pretend we're talking about surplus funds. What would make you hesitant? Because you see the opportunity, it looks good, you're seeing other people do it. What would make you hesitant about starting a new venture in surplus funds?
Well, because for some people, for some people doesn't know how the business work, and most of the people gonna be hesitant because they haven't heard before it. But when they see the reality, how can you help people? They're gonna see this is a big scaling business that you can pair very well with what you're doing. For example, for myself, I really dealing with people that they go through foreclosure. But what is I didn't found a buyer after they get foreclosure? Oh, but if you lose your property, they might sell your property for a bigger price than what you owe them, and the rest of the money belong to you.
Yeah.
It's like being a realtor in the wholesale business. If the, if the buyer doesn't agree to the price as a wholesale, you can change the situation to a real estate business, a retail market price.
Yeah, you gotta look into it for yourself, right? And you hit the nail on the head. Most people have never heard of surplus funds, and I also go to a lot of events. I'm in some mastermind groups. I'm usually the only one there doing excess proceeds of surplus funds, and there might be one or two, at most a handful of people, depending how big the event is, that have even ever heard about it. And these are all real estate professionals doing, major operations. So I can understand. I myself, when I was in real estate almost 7 years. Well, not as a broker or an agent. I was just an investor, building my own portfolio of multifamily properties. And I didn't hear about this till about 7 years in. And when it first came across my desk, I really didn't pay too much attention to it. My partner looked into it a little bit more. We had some meetings around it. We saw like, okay, this seems pretty legit. Still, like I'm the type of person I need to see it happen before I believe it. And I was like, this almost seems too good to be true, right? Um, we we tested the waters out, saw that it worked. We definitely saw the hurdles that you have to go through because it's nothing's easy. Of course, there's a process. You have to understand it and do it the right way. But we saw the opportunity and we saw how scalable this was. Very blue ocean for us. So we kicked it into gear. We dove in with both feet. We had to bump into walls, learning to do it the correct way, educating ourselves along the way, always having to still educate. But we found our system. We found out how to do it the correct way. We created our model and our system, and then we just rinse and repeat over and over and over again. And every single case that we deal with is special to us because there's a family behind it. And we're helping somebody actually at the end of the day, which is, all businesses technically solve problems and help people, but it's a different type of help for us. And it really goes a long way when you're helping these families and individuals recover something that, was at one time a bad thing that happened to them and kind of shut the door on them. But to show them that there's still a little bit of light left at the end of the tunnel, it's really impactful.
Something that happened to me in real life, that happened to a lot of people. I didn't knew about wholesale, and I was selling my condo last year, and it took me about almost 6 months because I picked up the wrong realtor. And with one realtor, I lost 4 months that I had to choose a different realtor that took me a month and a half to sell my property. And a lot of people doesn't know that or doesn't see that because they don't know that they have different options.
Yeah, it's options. You have to understand so you know your options. And when you have no knowledge, you have no option. So you have to get the knowledge somehow. You got to go look into things and figure it out yourself. Me and my partner talk about that all the time. There's so many opportunities out there, and the hard ones pay the most because let's be honest, most people are lazy, right? They want the low hanging fruit, but the really rewarding opportunities, the ones you have to put the sweat and equity into.
Yeah, because what I tell people, if you wanna keep it with a realtor, it's gonna take longer time than expected. With me, you're not paying any fees. Whatever I offer you is what you're gonna get. Because most of the time they don't realize that they gotta pay for the legal fees, for the closing, for the realtor fees and everything else.
What do you think separates you from other operators in any business, anything?
Well, what separates me is because I offer a simple solution, a quick solution for the problems. Because a lot of people doesn't see it that way, but if they are in debt, they have financial problems at the moment, difficulties, they're gonna keep growing those debts instead to find a quick solution.
Do you think that
Good.
wholesaling is like a good intro step for a real estate individual? Do you think it's something they should do after learning a little bit more? What advice would you give someone looking to start in getting into real estate today?
I believe so. This is a great opportunity. How you can create an scaling business, how you can create relationships. That's it, what I'm doing. I go to a lot of events where people know who I am, how can we connect, how can we can collaborate, how can create a scalable business. Some people believe real estate is the best way to go, but at the end of the day, you don't gonna make what you can make in real estate business.
It's on you, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
really have
about
to want to go into work every day. You can't just force yourself to go in and then expect good outcomes. So you have to have interest in what you're doing.
yeah, and if you want your business to grow, you gotta work sometimes. Even I've been talking to people 11 o'clock at night.
Sometimes I had a sales call last night at 8 p.m. because it was with somebody in the West Coast, and it just was no big deal. I was like, yeah, I'll do 8 p.m. No problem. Some people are like, oh, it's too late. I'm at the home with family. You got to make it work sometimes.
Yeah, you gotta be, if you wanna grow, sometimes I tell people you gotta be available 24/7.
Listen, if you're working as an entrepreneur, if you're working 40 hours a week, I think you're part-time.
That's correct. Totally agree with you. If you want to be successful in business, you gotta put 200%.
It's just the truth, right? Yeah, it's just it shows, right? The results are there. So where can we find you, Carlos? If someone wants to look you up or check you out, where can they find you?
They can go to my website that is called Casa, and they can fill it out. If they are a seller looking to sell the property, they can fill it out the form, or if there are buyers wanna join to my buyer list, they can fill it out the other form, and I will call them in less than 24 hours to discuss the situation.
Do you have a social media presence too? Like you're on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle? So if they want to look you up and follow you.
Carlos underscore Vice underscore houses.
And guys, we'll put that in the comments. In the list in the bio. Sorry. And guys, we'll put that in the information below as well. So definitely look up Carlos. He's real deal. He's doing his thing in Canada. Maybe we'll get him over to the States here for an event and we'll link up. Carlo, I got to ask you one last thing. Surplus funds or wholesaling? What do you think has the bigger opportunity?
Both.
Hey, there we go.
If you're doing one, you're doing the other one. As I mentioned before, both of them related. You can help before or after.
I love wholesaling. Just by listening to you today, I was thinking in my head, I was like, wow, this looks like some great spreads. I might have to look into that. You made me want to look into it a little bit more.
For sure. Anytime we can talk about it.
Well, let's definitely get back on. We'll follow up again on another episode and we'll see how the rest of the year went. But guys, follow Carlos, follow us below for more shows like this, dealing with real operators, doing the things that we're talking about online, not just posting about it.